JC here for retirecheap.asia. Every time I get information or news that runs across my desk, I look at it and see how it applies to somebody that's thinking about coming over and living in another country, either for retirement or long-term stay. And, there's a lot of arguments for and against living in foreign countries on a long-term basis. Now, different countries have different laws and different requirements to be able to continue government benefits, and the United States is one of those countries that won't allow you to use your Medicare, which is our medical what medical program we actually have at this time, in another country. You can't use it. In other words, you can apply for Medicare and get some aid as far as medicine and hospitalization and stuff like that as you get into retirement age, but as soon as you leave the country, that's no longer any good. And now we're actually supposed to be getting a health care policy under President Obama's tenure as president, and but we're not sure how all that's going to work out at this point. So people tell me, well, I don't want to go live in another country because if I get sick, then I'm not going to have any health care. And that was the case. But there's some new information that you need to actually consider now. This ran across my desk. This was from Forbes.com, and this was dated April 23rd, 2012. And in this article it says, trustees, Medicare will go broke in 2016 if you exclude Obamacare's double counting. It says the trustees of the Medicare program have released their annual report on the solvency of the Medicare program. They calculated the program is expected to remain solvent until 2024, the same as last year's estimate. But what that headline obfuscates, big word, which means makes it very unclear or illegible, is that Obamacare's tax increases and spending cuts are counted towards that program's longevity or alleged deficit neutrality. Medicare is to go bankrupt in 2016. And if you listen to Medicare's own actuary, Richard Foster, the program's bankruptcy could come even sooner than 2016. Okay? So, that came out April 23rd, 2012. So, you need to keep this in the back of your mind, because if the reason you're not thinking about moving to a foreign country, it doesn't matter if it's Southeast Asia or a Latin American country or someplace where your money goes further, I always say look for more life for less money. And if Medicare is not going to be an issue after 2016, in other words, you won't be able to collect it, well, that puts different cards on the table to think about. Healthcare is a lot cheaper in a lot of countries, so maybe you wouldn't be able to afford healthcare back home if you didn't have that Medicare supplement. So something to think about when it comes to moving to another country and spending long term there. You can, in a lot of countries, the medical is cheap enough that if you were going to take private policy up, say back home in your home country, the premiums over a certain amount of years, say 2 years, depending on what level of insurance coverage you have, would actually cover almost any kind of medical malady you could have. So you could self-insure, and then I always said self-insure up to the point where you get Medicare, and then if you needed to go home for some kind of major illness, you'd be able to go back home and use your Medicare. Well, after 2016, that might not even be an option. So these are things to keep in mind when you're thinking about moving and staying in another country long-term or becoming a ripper, what I call retiree in paradise, in one of the other foreign countries where you might get more life for less money. So whenever you remember now, all this is dynamic and it's changing constantly. We don't know what's going to happen with this Obamacare in the United States. I know in some other countries, and I won't mention which ones, I actually put this information up on our membership site. As soon as you're out of the country for more than a certain amount of days, you lose your medical coverage anyway. So they're trying to dissuade people from leaving the country and living abroad and then coming back and using their health care even in other countries besides the United States. So keep all that in mind. And when it comes to getting your medical needs taken care of when you're at an old age, there's always an option.